allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Welcome to the Town Council meeting for Wednesday, September, 19th? 18th, that's right, 18th, yeah, day ahead. Thank you for being here. We start our meetings with public comment period, 15 minutes for public comment period. We ask if you want to address the council to please stand and state your name and address for the record. Last month, we ended up spending about an hour in the hospital. We're not going to spend an hour in the hospital again. We're going to spend 15 minutes in the hospital if that comes up, and we're going to spend 15 minutes in other public comment. So, that said, I would open the floor to public comment. Yes, ma'am. Again, please state your name and address for the record.
Marlon Berry, I live on 36 Park Avenue. I have a comment. The election is supposed to be a democratic process, is it not? I was under the impression, I was told by a reliable source, that this group right here made a gentleman's agreement there would be no opposition to Mr. Gray or to the other people on the board. That is not a fair choice for the people, and I think the people ought to be aware that you are not speaking for us if we don't have anybody else to pick from. And I just think that's totally wrong. We don't have a Democratic person. Shame on you. Shame on the Democratic people for not coming up with a person to run against you and give us some choice in this matter.
Ma'am, if I could, nothing could be further from the truth. At least to include all three councilmen were asked if they wanted to run, and other people were asked if they wanted to run on the Democratic ticket as a candidate for supervisor for various reasons. Too time-consuming, have a young family, I'm involved in sports, and this and that, whatever. It's very difficult, as you can see with the Republican Party also, to get candidates to run.
But I don't think that enough effort was put into it. In fact, I understand at the Democratic caucus this week or the other day that when they said, okay, who do we have for nominations for town supervisor, somebody raised his hand and said, I move to close the voting.
No, that's
Absolutely untrue.
Absolutely.
We need some people to run against. That's not fair.
You need to start witnessing things yourself instead of I heard. That I heard doesn't.
Well, I know.
If you don't witness it for yourself, don't believe it.
That Mr. Gray would carry this chairman position until this hospital business was done with.
No.
That's the what was
What's the
said.
source of the gentleman's agreement? Who says that?
I'm not at liberty to give up my source.
Well, it doesn't exist. It doesn't
mean
exist. So your source
When
apparently
I was
doesn't.
there,
Let's move on.
and they are
Watch my
right.
video.
Okay, but I'm saying
That was-
that
I
nobody
have
was
to say
encouraged to
that.
run against Mr. Gray.
That's not
That
true.
is-
I told
is
you
not
that
true.
wasn't true.
Okay. Then we need to be
Many
writing
people were
people's
encouraged.
names.
Somebody was nominated and they declined the nomination.
Charlie Boots.
But one person.
Charlie
I
Boots.
think we all need to make an effort
Well,
to
there
at
was-
least give the people a choice in the matter. We have no choice as it is now. No choice. These people are here regardless. The election is just a farce because there's no election. There's nobody to run against these people. We don't have a voice.
Yeah, we've had uncontested elections in both the village and the town now for about a dozen years. Many. And that just means that it's very hard to get people to run for office. Very hard. You can't wish that it happens because it's a commitment that people have to understand. There's time involved, a lot of time involved, and we've had many. This is not an unusual year. We've had many uncontested elections.
The last election, was there not more than one person running?
For the supervisor, there was.
Yes.
There was not for the town councilman.
There was four people running for town council.
There was an independent who ran.
The last time Bob Cunningham and I ran, in the last town election, we were uncontested.
That's right.
I just think that that's not a fair election.
I don't disagree.
As I said, I can't, people like you should run. If you're that concerned, the last, except for the independent, the last 3 times that I've run for re-election, I have been unopposed. There was an independent 2 years ago. But again, at one point in time, one particular group of educators, we've got too many teachers. Well, a business person doing business can hurt their business. Their business can actually get hurt. Let's say hypothetically, that person owns a business and they're a Democrat. So a Republican says, I'm not going to do business with you because you're from that party. It's very difficult to get people to run. And to suggest, whoever your source was, that there was a deal made, could not be farther from the truth. We can't tell a
We don't have that
I just want that brought
power.
out in the open.
We don't have that power.
Roger. Over here. Anyone else? Yes, sir.
Mr. Gray, Board. My name's Jason Garcia. I'm an employee at the hospital. I'm a union rep, member of the coalition. I'm a community member, aware of many hats. First of all, I want to thank you, Mr. Gray, for bringing forth the committee that you're forming. I think it's a great idea. I know everybody on every side the agenda is to make sure the hospital continues. And despite what some people may think, everybody's got their own agendas. Us as employees, you know, if that hospital closes, I lose my pension. I understand that. And that's the farthest thing I want. I've lived here, I've grown up here. Just want to commend you on that. One thing I want to bring forth is currently there are members of middle management at the hospital who do not support privatization, but they're afraid to speak out in fear of their jobs and being reprimanded. They're speaking to us behind closed doors, in shadows. There's a lot of people. It's not just the fact that, hey, they want to save their pension. They've got some good ideas, some great ideas. These are the people who have their finger on the pulse of the hospital. You know what? They hear from upper management, like I like to call them, and they're hearing from us on the floor. They know more about the hospital than I know. They know more than I believe upper management knows. I'd like to see if maybe there's a chance you can get 2 representatives from middle management. I know some people I personally think would be really good. They're afraid for their jobs at this point. They're afraid to speak out. And I'd be more than welcome to talk to you about who they're members of management. They're not pro-union. They're pro-hospital. That's what they are. They're not pro-management. They're pro-hospital. They do what they feel is best for the hospital. You know what? Sometimes that makes me angry. Sometimes that makes their supervisors angry. But they're doing it because that's what they feel is best for the hospital and for patient care. And, you know, I really think they, of all the people in the hospital, even from the unions versus upper management, they are the ones you need to listen to. They have a lot of great ideas. And if you can, you know, just add those extra 2 people. And if you can talk to both management and us, and we can come to an agreement. These are people who, they're loyal to the hospital. They're not loyal to anybody else. And I'd appreciate it if you could do that.
Okay. Let me just ask a quick question. If they're not willing to speak out at the hospital for fear of retribution, would they be willing to sit on the committee?
I think if there can be some sort of guarantee, which I'm going to ask of the hospital board, if there's some guarantee saying that, you know what, there is no fear of jobs, I think that will get, I still think they're going to be afraid, but I think it'll get them that much closer.
Because they still have civil service protection. Whether they're a member of CSEA or not, they're still civil
I
service
understand,
protection.
I'm telling you, these are very smart and educated people, maybe not in the sense of colleges at all
I've had one
points.
volunteer so far. I got a call today. I haven't had a chance to return the call yet, but I've had one volunteer so far.
Okay.
It still would be nice to hear it from the town board also, that you will take in consideration everybody that is on the committee to back us in jobs. If we speak out and we have fear of losing jobs or whatever, that you will at least be overseeing all this since you're forming this committee.
Nobody's going to lose their job because they spoke out. That's what America's about.
Yeah, well,
I'll tell you what, I'm a union rep. Mr. Gray, I'm a union rep, and I guess you could pain in the backside of the hospital at times. I do it because And I'm in the position where I have to look out for my members and
Sure.
what's right for them. I also look at, for the patients in the hospital in general, but there's been people said, you know what, once we go private, in this new corporation or whatever, hey, let's see if Jason's gonna be hired back there. And I don't believe that that's the type of people they will be. I think I'm a good employee, I think I'm a good worker, and I think that speaks for itself. Even though I may be a pain at times, they know that I'm a benefit to the hospital.
And I'm willing to go out on a limb this far so far. If, at the end of the day, it appears that privatization is the best route to go, I would think the town board should put a stipulation in any transfer that the staff remain as they are.
Thank you.
I was talking about that someone today. There's a lot of things that go into the
Organization.
reorganization
Right.
that the town board can have impact on, such as those types of things.
Right. And I think people are confused by what's going on in Governor. The governor going to reapply for their jobs, but that's a whole different ball of wax. They're restructuring because they cannot exist the way they are. And I don't really think that's the case with Massena Hospital. I mean, the health department had to step in there, the lab was failing, it couldn't pass inspections, et cetera, et cetera. There's a lot of issues at Governor. So when the newspaper says they all have to reapply, I don't consider that to be apples to apples comparison to Massena Memorial, if Massena Memorial should go to privatization. So, but John's right, we can have a big influence on that stuff.
Except that, regardless of privatization, and
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm 100% correct on this, but I believe I am. Department of Health obviously has enormous power. You probably, in all the time you spent there, you probably understand that, as does the state controller's office, because they oversee the financials of all the towns and villages and cities throughout the state. They wield enormous power. And one of the fears I have, through all the discussions we've had about from a financial standpoint, is, see, the governor issue was a quality thing.
Right.
Okay, we've got really good quality, we've never even come close to any of that problem. But they can also get involved from a financial standpoint. And the day we go red, total red from fund, if we go red, they can get involved in it from that standpoint too. It is not a slam dunk that we could just say, well, we'll allow the town taxpayers to make up the difference. The state controller's office of the Department of Health does not have to approve that. They can, there was years ago, they almost closed the hospital for financial issues. So we got things like that to worry about too. Even if we, like this talk about a referendum and stuff, even if the referendum said we want that, the state could say, oh, I don't care. The hospital's not healthy, and we're not going to turn it over to the backs of the taxpayer. They can say that. They have enormous power. That's one negative about being in a public hospital, is you are totally under control of the state controller's office and the Department of Health. So I just wanted to, going along with what Joe's saying about Governor, it could end up being the same thing, depending on how involved those people got. So from that standpoint, so there's certainly a whole lot of stuff to worry about in this thing.
When it comes right down to it, it's tough to beat a built Ford tough truck. When it comes to the best combination of best torque capability and fuel economy, then this is your truck. How about this new 2013 Ford F-150 Super Crew 4x4 Lariat truck? It features heated seats, navigation, and more. MSRP on this one was $51,100. Now take this one home for just $42,400. You save up to $8,600. Frenchie's Ford, 216 East Orva Street, Massena, or visit FrenchiesFord.com. Ford, go further.
you have a business and need more than just a computer salesman, StarTech is your answer. We have 4 technicians available with over 60 years combined experience for fast, efficient, quality service. We've been serving upstate New York since 1983. We support local and wide area networks, and we service most makes and models of computers and printers. We have a complete in-house service facility, and we offer on-site service to most areas.
StarTech, computer, cellular, and music equipment.
Yes, ma'am. Whoever wants to go first? Let's let this lady go first, and you'll be next.
As long as 15 minutes don't run out.
My name is Patsy Sitten. I live in Louisville. And with that being said about putting a stipulation on the sale, is it a possibility or a viable option that if the sale takes place, that a proposal be made or a stipulation be put on the sale that those employees that have perhaps 20 years in their present retirement system remain in the retirement system until...
I don't think so.
Until their 30 years
John
has been
said
met.
he doesn't think so, but I'm going to say this to you. When Joe and I met with the union, when this all started, I asked him in that meeting, have they done anything? I don't know. As I said, and I'm looking at Clyde because I know you guys are, I asked the union to get down to Albany and talk to them and see what they can do to help out with the pension side of it. Because those from 15 years up there, that's a bad spot. That's a real bad spot. I mean, 15 years and under is bad, but it's not as bad as 15 over. And I asked the union leaders that night in the meeting they met with us right across the hall, if they would talk to the people in Albany. Was it June we met?
Yep.
If they would talk to people in Albany about that, and I haven't heard a word. Because the union, your union, CSEA, and whoever else, your nurses union, has a hell of a lot more power than the 5 of us sitting at this table. A lot more power. I know, I was a member of NICET, and we had a lot of power. I asked that question, and you guys ought to be putting the pressure on your state representative. Mr. Egan was here last night, he wanted to combat with us. That's the stuff I wanted to say to him. Did you go down and ask him about the retirement and see what you can do? Everybody's in the same problem in the state because of what happened in 2008. I don't know what's going on.
You're asking for grandfathering, right?
Yeah.
Right,
Everybody was
right,
present.
for those employees that...
You're asking for continuation.
Continuation, right,
And I don't see
right.
any
No,
way.
the different, right, the trouble is,
You have to be a state
it has to be a
employee.
public institution. It has to be a public institution, then
Now, if you're vested,
Oh, I'm retired.
you won't lose
Oh,
that.
I'm
You're retired now.
I'm retired 5 years.
You won't lose, anybody that's in the system, you never lose your years.
But they take a big cut.
Right, because you won't get more years.
That's right.
But you can't lose what you have.
I have a second question, and it's regarding the process of transitioning, because I'm not real familiar with that. If it was decided that the hospital would go private, would there be an appraisal done on the properties and the equipment and the L buildings?
Yeah.
And then fair market value?
The short answer
paid?
is, I don't think we know, and that's some of the research that needs to be done. You know, you mentioned sale, and that's what kind of bothers me with ads like this. I don't know why we keep talking about sale. You know, this is a $400 ad somebody spent money, at least a $400 ad somebody spent money on. The yard signs are another $1,000. I don't think the Massena Community Coalition has that kind of money. So they only use two other sources, NICET and CSEA. So people need to be honest, I think if CSEA is paying for this ad, it should say CSEA paid for this ad. That's another whole story. But if it's not the sale, what sale are we talking about? We're talking about transfer of assets, transfer of transition, I should say, of status from public to private, not-for-profit. What I have said is, I believe the town taxpayers are owed the value of those assets if it's transferred to a private, not-for-profit corporation.
That was my question.
So that's what I have said all along. Now, people may not agree with me, but at some point, if that happens, we need some way to evaluate the buildings and the equipment, everything the hospital has, if that's to be transferred to a corporation. And I believe the taxpayers of the town of Massena should be repaid for that.
And that would that go into like property tax deductions, or that's...
I would hope
decided?
we would do something at least like that, yeah. at least part of it, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
I've heard rumors, and they're
Name
reliable.
name and address, please, we know.
Oh, I'm sorry. Gloria Dupriella, 20 Haskell Street. I've heard rumors, and they're pretty reliable, that Alice Hyde dialysis unit has been sold, and that now they're coming to make an offer for Massena dialysis. That one entity wants to run all of the dialysis units in northern New York, and I was wondering if the hospital has been approached to sell it yet?
I don't know the answer to that. I've heard a rumor that they have, but I don't know for sure of that. I do
But
know
don't they report to you if,
those specifics, they couldn't sell it without our approval, put it that way.
right, but what I'm saying is if there's an offer, don't they have a right, don't they have an obligation?
Not if they're not considering it.
If they go to consider.
Yeah, but you're losing money there, why don't they sell it?
If they go to consider.
Because then if they sell that and the building and the equipment, there's the money that you need in order to pay the pension fund to get over it this year.
I've been saying something very similar because I spoke with a financial institution, national financial institution, that happens to have a healthcare arm. And they do things just like we're talking about. They come in and do appraisals, they do business plans for transition, et cetera, et cetera. They approached me back in, I don't know when it was, February, March, I met with them, and they said, we've got people that'll buy your dialysis clinic tomorrow. And I didn't pursue that. I passed that information on to the hospital. I don't believe they pursued it with this institution either. But so I think it's something we need to look at. But I think the key there is there needs to be some kind of attachment put to it that it stays here and stays open. If we can sell it tomorrow and it closes, then what good does that do to the people that are on dialysis?
True, but I think they'd be keeping it open.
Well, that's the
But
question.
it would give them, the hospital money, more capital. to
Yes,
keep.
and that's been my thought all along. I think we need to look at all hospital operations and buildings when it comes to that.
Okay, when they start assessing that hospital, do you have the code enforcement officer go on there just out of curiosity?
Assessment and code enforcement is two different things.
Well,
Appraisal,
you know,
it's not an
code
assessment,
enforcement, I mean,
it's
you
an
can't
appraisal.
sell something that isn't up to code. Because I gotta
Well,
tell you, my
I-
father was just in that hospital, and the TV shut off. And so the janitor came in order to fix it, and he said, what you gotta do is you gotta unplug it and let it reset itself, and plug it back in. And he lifted up into the drop ceiling, and it was hooked to an extension cord in the drop ceiling. That's not code. That is not code. A loose extension cord. The patients are in that room.
Yeah, I don't know what you're talking specifically. I haven't seen it, obviously, I don't know that.
I know that they take complaints. If you got a complaint with that, Gloria, take it to their complaint thing and let them handle it.
And they have inspections all the time too, so.
So, I mean, if it's something you saw, you think it needs to rectify, talk to the hospital people in charge of that and let them handle it.
Anyone else?
Good news on the hospital. The $500,000 they made, they're $500,000 less in debt this month than they were last month, so that's good news.
Made 500,000 August.
Yeah.
The August report.
So that's good news.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm Kathy Mezazon, and I live in Brazier, but I own property on the North Racket. And I don't know whether I'm supposed to start here, but this is where I'm starting. My granddaughter's 4 years old, and she just started school, and we live on
The new 2014 Chevy Equinox was engineered with road trips in mind. And at 29 miles per gallon highway, how can you resist a real lease deal on this one? How about this new 2014 Chevy Equinox LS that features a CD, MP3, power driver's seat, 5-year 100,000-mile powertrain warranty, and more. Right now, lease this one for 39 easy payments of just $277 a month. That's less than $9 a day. Frenchie Chevrolet, 255 East Orvis Street, Massena, or visit FrenchieChevy.com. Chevrolet, find new roads.
Hi, I'm Mike Jones. We're here at StarTech Computer. We have computers, cellular telephones, and music equipment. We do repairs on most makes and models of computers, and we'd like to tell you what we got going on this week.
Smokey here from StarTech Computer, here to tell you about what has to be one of the cheapest cell phone companies around. It's $10 for 4 months with 100 minutes.
That equals out to 25 minutes per month and $2.70. Now, I don't know too many cell phone companies that can compete with that. These guys have the same great coverage as one of the leading competitors in this market. So you're not going to have to worry about dead zones or call drops or any of that. And we do sell cell phones here. Some of the phones we have are like this Motorola phone. This is a flip phone. It does have a camera. It does have speakerphone. It is one of the cheaper phones we have. We also have the Motorola Razrs, which are nice phones. And we sell the cards here. And we also have other plans here if you're interested. So come on down and take a look.
Supporting a green agenda, Wiley Trash Removal has been serving the community for over 40 years. Wiley Trash Removal also recycles cardboard and paper. Call 315-764-0038.